It is August of 2021, and this is the year that I've learned probably as much as I'm ever going to learn about drought. I've learned all the things I should have done and wish I had planned out better. Going through the steps of planning for a drought and trying to maintain that upper hand, both with your grass and your marketability of your calves. Every year starts in the year before drought in terms of leaving residual forage behind. This forage not only constitutes your feed that you can come out onto the next year before green up or during green up. This is the stuff that's going to capture the moisture. Where there's no vegetation, there's nothing to hold the moisture, and it really doesn't matter how much rain you get or snow you get, it's how much you keep in the soil. This is going to keep that moisture here and grow more plants. Starting during the growing season, inventorying what you do have is important, because what grows here is not what's going to grow here. You need to really evaluate your rangeland and see what you do have. Just because your neighbor's in a drought doesn't mean you're in a drought, or vice versa. Going out there, doing some clip and weighing, even just eyeballing it, see what you have, how it compares to other years. Really knowing what your ground can handle during that drought is important. So when we're out there inventorying the feed we have for the year, what's going to grow and how much of it, we've also got to take inventory of drinking water. There's two kinds of droughts. The kind of drought that we're in right now where there's no feed, the rain didn't come enough to grow feed, but there's lots of times where we have plenty of feed and no drinking water. And so we're leaving tons of feed behind because there's just no available water for drinking. If you find you're in a situation where drought is inevitable and you're going to have to you don't need to jump to the automatic destocking. There's lots of things you can do, and I start those plans early in the year. Regardless of whether I think it's a drought, I start thinking about, if this drought continues by a certain date, what decisions am I going to have to make? And planning those decisions out ahead of time is huge for me. It helps me sleep at night. I don't have to be wringing my hands about what are we going to sell, how are we going to get through this. I know early on what category of animal I'm going to sell, and I've got 3 sets lined up. The first thing I really start thinking about in terms of planning is weaning early. Weaning early can reduce your cow's nutritional needs by up to 40%, meaning she's got to eat a lot less of this to get her nutrients. So weaning early isn't always possible for everybody. It's definitely something you've got to think about when you're facing drought conditions. But that leads to a lot of other questions. Where do you put these calves to get their wean on them? What do you do with those cows? Logistically speaking, there's a lot more to it than marketing like you have every other year. Having those relationships with your buyers and other marketing folks early on. I'm on the phone. If I'm thinking we're in a drought condition and I'm going to have to wean early, I want to be the first guy that calls the buyer and says, we might have some light calves for sale a lot earlier than most people. Being the first one in line with those kind of options is huge. You don't want to be that last guy who's destocking or culling deep at the last minute like everybody else is. Culling is much different than destocking. We can cull deep on a drought, and that's what we did this year. During our branding season, as the cowboys went through the ranch branding, anything that was dry, anything that didn't look right, I told the guys, if you don't like the way their eyelashes look, get rid of them this year and do it right then and early. We had most of our culling done by July 4th. We hit that hamburger market. That's 3 or 4 months we didn't have to have cows out on the range eating this important grass that we need to keep those calves going.